I'm Elizabeth from Organized Chaos Music. I'm an elementary music teacher, and today I'm going to show you how to make poi out of rope like this. All you need is the rope and maybe some scissors and a lighter, and you can make poi to use for your Maori or Polynesian music unit with your elementary school students. Okay, so the basic idea is to make 3 loops in 3 different directions, each one kind of wrapping around the previous set of loops. So once I figured that out, that made everything make a lot more sense to me, but I'm going to show you how that works. So I have my rope. Here's the end of the rope. I'm going to get way more than I think I need. I got a little bit too comfortable as I was going through after I got the first few, and thought I could start using less rope and like not have as much to make tighter again. That was the wrong move. So I'm just telling you that right now when you have that same thought halfway through making a class set of these. So I have my rope, and so the end of the rope is going that way. So I'm going to use my hand to wrap the rope around for the first set of loops, and I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 loops. Okay, so I have 3 loops going around my fingers. Now I want to make basically a plus sign to have 3 loops going wrapping around these 3. So what I ended up doing is I'm going to use a couple of fingers to hold these first set of loops in place, and then use some of my other fingers to keep the second set of loops, from getting too tight around the rope. You want this whole thing to be loose when you first do it. So I'm gonna go this way now. I've got my 3 first loops right here, and now I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, and I'll loosen that up a little bit. So now I have 3 loops this way, the first set, and 3 loops this way. Okay, so now I want to again wrap around the second set that I just did. So I'm actually going to, and I want to make sure that I have 3 loops basically on each side, if that makes sense. So I'm going to wrap, I'm going to go through the first loop here because I'm going to wrap around the second set this way. Okay, so I'm just wrapping around the second set. So I'm coming in from the back, and we're going to go over this loop and through here. 1, 2, 'Let's make sure I don't get this all tangled. Okay. And 1 more. Three. Okay, we did it. So I started with 3 loops this way, then I wrapped around those this way, and then I wrapped around those this way. Okay, so now the last part of this is to stick the end of the rope into the middle of this whole thing, and then tighten all of your loops back around the rope. Okay, so I have the end of the rope, I'm sticking it in, and I've seen some people in some videos tie a knot on the end of the rope, which may make it bigger or more stable somehow. I didn't do that. It's just one less step, I guess. And now I'm going to reverse what I did before. Okay, so I'm going to start tightening that, and I just used my thumb while I was tightening these to hold the end of the rope in place to make sure, because obviously you don't want to pull that back out through. And then I'm holding the loops as I tighten them to keep them in place. So now this direction, the loops are tightened. Now you have to kind of figure out where the rope goes. And I'm going to hold these in place for a minute while I pull this through. And I'm going to start tightening the other direction. And you'll see as you tighten in the other directions, it starts to stay in place a little bit more easily. Now, and then the trick is always, for me anyway, to figure out, there we go, where the rope goes through to the other side. So you can keep track of which loop to pull next to tighten it. So I'm just pulling it back through. That one goes there. There we go. Pull it through, and I'm trying to pull it as tight as I can as I go, to make sure that the end doesn't come out or anything like that. Of course, I pulled this one when I was trying to figure out where to go earlier, so now I have to pull it back out. Here we go. So now I've tightened two sides, and we have one set of loops left to tighten. Okay, so now the hardest part, there we go. Okay, so I'm just kind of following with my eyes the way the rope goes here to here, and then I tried it and it worked. So I'm going to pull this way and pull it tight. And you just keep going around like this. We're almost there. This one through, and the last one, pull it back. So once you get the last loop pulled through, now you have your ball on the end of your rope. So I found that it worked out well to make the ropes longer than I knew I would need for my students to use, because that way it's easier for kids to just grab the rope at wherever is best for, you know, what they're doing. And if it's longer, the other end will just hang down. It's not a big deal, but what you don't want is to make it too short. So I measured it on my arm. I hold the knot and then measure it up to where my arm is, and then I'm going to cut it right here. Oops. Okay. Then just to make sure that this frayed end that I cut doesn't come unraveled. I don't know how necessary this is because I haven't tried it any other way, but I just use the lighter to go around the edges of the string, and that way it's not frayed anymore. And so far I've used this with a lot of students and it hasn't come undone. So there you go. Now you have your poi. I hope this makes it a little bit easier for you to see how to make these on your own. If you have any questions, or if you want to see all the different lesson activities and resources that I found that I shared with my students when I did this unit, be sure to look for the blog post. The link should be somewhere around here, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, thanks for watching.